Oh, there we go. Okay, good. And the mic, I'm just going to poke at my mic for a second. Yes, it's doing the thing. Oh, and there we are.
And there it
Popping
is.
up. Everything's happening.
Everything is happening. All good things.
All good things.
All good things.
I'm gonna have us up on a couple different places just to try and we're trying to figure out the best comment situation with you guys.
Yes, because comments are very important because we love comments.
Yes, we
as
do
you
love
know,
comments.
we adore comments.
We love. Oh,
and there goes the phone.
and it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is okay. We're only 9 episodes into this thing.
I'm not drunk. I don't know.
There's more than just tea in this thing, I promise.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, okay, just making sure that we last week had some, oh, hi, by the way, my name is Kristen.
And my name is Tom Catt.
Welcome to Catt and Kristen, where we talk about cosplay and etc. Everything's fine. Last week we had some microphone issues in the beginning that nobody told us about. I don't know if they maybe they weren't happening when it was actually live and it was like a weird after fact.
It could have been a weird thing that happened when we were, recording.
Yeah.
And so on and
but either way,
so forth.
Either way, that was a thing. So if we have any audio issues or anything, please let us know in the comments.
Yes, please
because
do.
we will try to rectify it as it's going. That sounds fine to me.
I think we're doing all right.
I think we're doing good.
That sounded fine.
Cool.
I think we're doing okay.
I think we're all right. So hello guys.
Hi.
We hope your week has been good.
Hopefully your Thanksgiving was delightful and you enjoyed plenty of food, drink, and people that you can tolerate the existence of.
Indeed, yes. Hopefully your great Aunt Marge didn't say anything racist at the dinner table. Really hoping for that for you and yours.
I love when Aunt Marge comes to dinner. It literally makes the sun come up in the morning.
Oh, Aunt Marge, what a time.
I'm going to cosplay as Aunt Marge
Aunt
one
Marge.
day.
Thank God. That's what the world's really been waiting for, is a good old cosplay of Aunt Marge. A good cosplay of Aunt Marge is all we need.
Oh my goodness. So,
yeah.
Speaking of dressing up as a different gender, today we're going to be talking about genderbending.
Look at that segue.
Can
you see it in the distance?
Smooth,
it's rolling
just
away.
Smooth as butter.
That was so segue.
Smooth as silk.
Yep.
What an entrance we make. This is
terrible.
It. But here we are. Anyway,
yes.
So.
Yeah.
Brief history of genderbending and also what genderbending is.
Yes.
Is when you, from the cosplay community standpoint, is when you take a character and you switch the gender of that character. Mm-hmm. I have done this a number of times with Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Black Canary.
Yep.
I'm hoping to eventually do the White Queen Emma Frost.
Ooh.
Potentially Phoenix if that decides to,
You would make a killer Phoenix.
If it strikes my fancy, but
yes.
I always enjoy doing different things with cosplaying as characters.
Yeah.
But it's the idea of genderbending has sort of come under fire recently.
Yeah, I had no idea about this until it literally came up in one of our past shows. Somebody was talking about, and the controversy behind genderbending.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had not heard about a controversy. I should say I've never genderbent anything.
When I personally talk about genderbending,
yes.
there are strict rules when it comes to genderbending.
Here's that rule of guidelines. Terms and conditions may apply. They may apply.
When you crossplay,
yes,
is when you are in drag. When you are the gender that the gender that you were born as, and you are dressing up as a female character.
Yes.
When I do Ghastly or Ursula,
right,
or the Wicked Queen,
right,
or any other type of Disney villain that sort of strikes my fancy, that's me crosplaying.
Yeah, if I decided to tomorrow do a cosplay of Harry Potter in Harry Potter's gender,
that would be
crossplaying. Yeah.
And brief history of drag is that, yes, as everyone knows, William Shakespeare would make annotations in his script, like dressed as girl or dressed as a girl or something of equal or better value. And whether the validity of that, I have not seen anybody contest it. If anybody wants to, feel free.
Yep.
But that is what I personally have seen develop from there. And you know, from there were the drag balls in the 60s.
Yeah, completely.
I mean, there were cross-dressers and drag queens in the 1920s and 1930s.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, a play by Mae West was called The Drag.
The Drag, yeah.
It was called
yes,
The Drag, and
yep.
It starred a lot of drag entertainers.
Yeah.
And just the history of drag is very rich and very filled with information. And how it coincides with cosplay is really one of the reasons why I got into cosplay in the first place.
Which is interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't associate cosplay and drag together. I feel like not a lot of people think of them.
Only recently has there been this sort of influx of
I guess people calling it drag and recognizing it as drag. Is drag. Like there definitely I don't know why, like and myself included, I think for a while I wouldn't have thought of it as drag. But definitely cross-playing is drag.
You know, the conversations that have been recently having are how the transgendered community is becoming more and more I don't want to use the term angry, but upset with how drag is being portrayed.
Right.
For instance, recently, if for you guys that watch RuPaul's Drag Race, one of the things that was mentioned in the show was the setup is before every mini challenge that they do, RuPaul will put like a little thing on the screen that'll start with, "Ooh, girl, you got she-male."
Okay.
And a lot of people were people were upset about that. And you know, when I first heard the controversy, I'm like, okay, I understand,
right?
But when you look at the history of it,
right,
terms like she-male, Mr. Sister, genderbender, these were all terms that were used sort of in fun. But again, this was years ago, and times are quite different these days.
Yes, definitely.
We have a comment.
Babies. Hey, Kay. What's up?
And going forward, like RuPaul completely changed it.
Did he?
Yeah. RuPaul changed it to, I think, she already done had herses. And I mean, it's funny, but the fact that RuPaul of all people, had to change that, like, it really made me think, like, wow, this is a topic that is going to just continue to gain traction and start to gain, like, the transgender community is starting to take such hold of their titles and their words. And I mean, as someone that usually identifies as gender fluid, or like I don't like, one of the things that I hate is when people call me sir, or when people call me he, or I mean, I don't hate it, it's just in a professional setting, I'm like, I feel uncomfortable when people call me that.
Do you really?
I really do.
And
like when people call me like sir or that guy over there, I'm just like, I'm okay, sure, let's just, are you assuming my gender?
Assuming my gender. That's really, see, I didn't know that about you.
I mean, people have been having a lot, well, I mean, when I used to work at a few of my other jobs, I used to wear makeup.
Oh, okay.
And I would do like the lipstick, the eyeshadow, sometimes I'd even do contouring. Like I try not to, I mean, unfortunately, it's a little difficult for someone like me, who's, you know, a fucking skyscraper and the size of a brick wall. By the way, are we loving this aesthetic that I have going on right now? This is soccer mom chic right now.
I love it, and I'm wearing just a sweatshirt that says Kylo Ren is a punk bitch on it. That's it. That's where we're at. Also, Kay says, "Yes, queen."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like when it comes to crossplay and drag and genderbending, like the transgender community is becoming very emboldened with the, not, I don't want to say rhetoric, but with the idea that drag is more or less, I don't want to say a way to diminish the transgender community, but some of them feel as such.
Okay, question. Because this is, again, I'm like really learning about this now. So
I'm just teaching all the children.
I know, that's it. Which is why this is the great thing about having this show, is that it's a learning experience all the time.
For
not just for you guys,
everybody.
for us, for everybody. So is it, Kay doesn't like that you said that
mom
over
there. Exactly.
Also,
like when
she is the hottest mom in the entire world. I love her so much.
That's on when people usually like when it comes to filling out those forms and I see what gender are you, I just want to put Tomcat. That's it. That's my gender. Wow, my gender is Tomcat.
That's so interesting, and I wouldn't have known that about you. I wouldn't have known that until now. So my question,
yes, the question is the transgender community, are they just upset with the terminology, or are they upset with the act itself? Of both. I mean, there are a lot of transgendered individuals that will. I mean, I'm not speaking on behalf of the transgender community. I mean, I do have a lot of transgendered friends, and I love them. I love them to pieces. And I'm still trying to like figure out, I'm still trying to like, oh my God Almighty, is it transgendered or just transgender? Like that. I mean, even that, because there are some people that will get like, not so much offended, but they'll take it personally if you don't use the correct terminology.
Yeah.
And I think that as more of a spotlight is put on them. Also, go Virginia.
Oh,
go Virginia for electing their first transgender councilwoman.
That was amazing. And did you see that Demi Lovato brought her to the whatever big, was it the Grammys or whatever big music event that just happened?
Yes, I'm all for that.
Flew her out to be her date at this event,
and I think that's
it was
beautiful.
amazing. It was so great. Absolutely beautiful. I was very proud of Demi also in that moment. I was like, good for you using your platform to put spotlight on.
Demi was doing very well.
Demi's slaying. If you haven't seen her documentary, her documentary will like make you sob. It's amazing.
I'm just looking at what's going on.
Now we got some people watching though. Hello to everybody.
Hi kids. Hi children.
See, okay, what I find interesting, and again, I can only speak on, I was born with female anatomy, I identify as
you would be what was classified as cisgender.
Cisgender, exactly. So I have to only speak from my experience. What I find interesting though is when I've always looked at drag, I have always looked at it as like a celebration of different genders. That's what it, at least on the outside,
I can understand that.
That is what it looks like to me, is like a celebration of
self-expression
and all genders, to be honest.
To those that aren't in the drag community, that don't know certain drag queens, if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, there's a drag queen called Milk, who is very gender fluid. They are gorgeous. They are gorgeous out of drag, and they try to promote gender fluidity, as well as Jinx Monsoon also promotes gender fluidity, and there's just this beautiful not acknowledgement, but this enlightenment, I guess you can say, of gender and self-expression, and as a cosplayer, personally, like, that was one of the reasons why I got involved. I'm repeating myself, but that was one of the reasons I got involved, was because I was able to express myself in a way that I was very comfortable with. Right. And it's gotten great notices.
You haven't done badly.
I haven't done poorly as a drag performer. But as far as gender bending is concerned, it is coming under fire. And basically, one of the things that we like to revert back to here at Catt and Kristen are the age-old adages. Yeah. Be respectful of each other.
I didn't even have to ask.
Be kind to one another. Yeah. Just understand that as cosplayers, you will come under fire for a few things. Yeah. And I don't want to put it in the same vein as using blackface, but it's sort of like going right under.
Really?
I think it's sort of going right under because
specifically gender bend. Well, no, not gender. Explain. Hold on. Backtrack. Okay. Sorry.
Think of it, and I understand, because I've been seeing like a lot of comments, and the comment section has a lot of interesting information. You just have to look past all the nasty nonsense.
Oh God, yeah.
But a few people that I have seen comment on it are they're equating gender bending to doing blackface because you're taking on a gender that isn't yours.
That isn't your own. Okay.
And I mean, that more specifically goes under the heading of crossplay or drag.
Right.
But with gender bending, you're sort of taking the agency away from the character that was originally written as a female or male, depending on the cosplayer. What is going on in the...
Is it gender bending that's under fire or crossplay? Two different things.
Honestly, I think it's both.
It's both? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's both because... Eric.
Okay,
our darling Eric.
We can't go an episode
without talking about it.
I will not stand for it.
He had posted a very interesting status this morning about how these cis gentlemen came up to him as he was in his Sylveon.
Oh, and, yes, this was a really, really good status. I meant to mention this to you.
His Prince speech.
Yeah.
And there were really undercutting, backhanded comments about
like
his
we
cosplay.
think that oh, that's so funny, dude, we got to get a picture sort of deal, which is just not the point of why Eric would do that cosplay, and that's very underhanded.
Exactly.
And something really interesting that he said in that status that I hope he doesn't mind that we're talking about is that he is half expecting those pictures to turn up that they took somewhere with some nasty comments, and that's just such a...
And I mean, as drag performers, we're used to it.
Right.
I mean, I cosplayed as Cruella my second New York Comic Con, and there were people coming up to me just grabbing my boobs, and I'm like, oh, I see we're becoming familiar already.
Right. Yeah.
And I fear it's becoming more and more with gender bending as well, because people are looking at it like, oh my god, that's so gay, and I'm just like when I hear those types of comments and when I hear that type of rhetoric, I'm like,
yeah,
who raised you? Where's your mother?
Where bring me to her.
Bring me to your mother. I have to have a long conversation with her mother to mother.
Unless your mother's like that, in which case, well, you really didn't get to know any better. But that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
This see, what's interesting to me though is, and what's I think the most interesting thing here is that you're coming from a place of you do this, you do.
And I mean, even when it started this isn't from the history books,
right?
But when it started in Japan as kabuki and katakali, there were plenty of male performers that would make this their job. That would be their career to be a performer that was not their gender that they were born as. And I'm literally just enjoying so much this idea of gender expression and gender fluidity, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm hoping that the buck doesn't stop with just me or Brooklyn Link or Princess Chris. I want there to be just this continuance of gender expression and just expressing yourself through the art of cosplay.
Right.
And that's all I really want out of the entire situation.
And what's really interesting to me is that, because the only unfortunate part about this is that I think, and I'm not transgender, so I can't speak for how anybody is feeling, but to me, all this cosplay stuff, my best friend, Christy Lynn, Miss Lady Crossplay, she pretty much crossplays all the time. Mm-hmm. And her whole reasoning behind it is that she likes to cosplay the characters that she loves, and they happen to be of a different gender.
Exactly.
And so you never know where somebody is
You never know where someone's coming from. You never know their backstory. You never know the patina that has been showing on their person.
And I feel like when somebody is doing it for the wrong reasons, really apparent to me.
Hold on, we have...
You know what, Shitty? You mostly hear that towards men gender-bending female characters. When chicks take on male characters, people go nuts for that.
And again, that now starts to come under the heading of cosplay models and people that use cosplay as sort of a platform for selling pictures and selling all that fun stuff. Right. And that I think is what we're going to talk about that next week.
Let's talk about cosplay models
I think I want us to go deeper into that, because there seems to be this sort of disconnect that people are having.
Yeah.
With what is a sexy cosplay, what is pornography, and just going
that's a huge conversation.
going deeper into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. So stay tuned.
Also, to cut away to go off topic for a little bit, thank you guys for like chilling with us and sticking around with us.
Thank you so much.
9 episodes in, and we thank you for constantly like tuning in and sharing our stuff and liking our work and whatnot.
Yeah, we really appreciate, and especially after the fact, you commenting too, like taking out the time out of your day to watch it when it's not live. Like,
when it's not live, and you get to comment on it. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we look at all of them. You know, our page is still in its little beginnings, and we see everything that you guys are saying. And
we're still a little on the infantile side, but you know something, we're growing.
And we're growing, and we're here, and we appreciate you. Follow us on Instagram. Catt and Kristen. No, but we really do appreciate. And it's been, and I mean, and this is a perfect example of like, this is an amazing, like, I'm really happy to talk about this and learn about this because I had no idea that this was going on.
Yeah,
this
and it makes
sense.
And it's only going to get more. Right. It's only going to get a combination of more controversial, and more people are going to do it. The more I just, at the end of the day, what I really want is for people to understand their history, understand where things started and came from, understand that you're not going to make everyone happy, but that you should just keep on doing what you're doing, so long as you're not offending entire groups of people. Yes.
If you are doing a cosplay, I'm trying to even think of a situation where the gender thing would be. If you are doing a cross-playing where you are specifically doing that, or gender bending to demean another gender, then that is
like, for instance, there was a situation when it came to I had mentioned this a couple of episodes ago. But there was one instance where I was looking through like a costume catalog, and I saw one that was a lady of the evening, and it was a gentleman that was in this garish outfit with this outrageous piled high wig, and like the makeup was all messed. There was still 5 o'clock shadow. That's offensive. Yeah, that's offending somebody. Yeah. One of my favorite instances, though, that was like really meant a lot to me. Right. I had gone to Otakon, I think in 2015 as Amazon Eve, and it was the first time that I had pretty much shaven my entire body, got into my cosplay, and looked killer as the character. And my friend Andrew, I'm trying to the reason I'm like stopping on who he is, I just don't want to say his name. Right. But he's a Winter Soldier cosplayer, but he does phenomenal sewing work. Phenomenal sewing
Winter Soldier, Captain America. If you're a Captain America cosplayer, I will come up to you and start a conversation. Just not hitting on you or anything. Just being like, hello, greetings, you're a Captain America cosplayer. This meets my interests, let's be friends. I too care about Cap this much.
And one of the things that happened was there was a great like body shot of me, and I had my ankle boots on, I had on my short shorts, like I looked the part. My friend Andrew shows it to the woman that played Amazon Eve.
Wow.
And she cried happy tears.
Oh my gosh.
And she was so happy that someone cosplayed as her character and cosplayed her in a non-offensive way, because I'm sure there have been cosplayers out there that have cosplayed as Amazon Eve. Yeah. How many times can I say cosplay in one sentence?
I know, right? Okay, 2 comments. First, I love this one from Daisha. She says, I love gender-bending male characters, and let me tell you, as a woman of color, I get some interesting reactions.
Keep on getting those interesting reactions.
Keep doing it. Also,
slay them.
I have to show you her cosplays. Her cosplays are phenomenal. Kay says, okay, but is that offensive really? Because, as you know, there are some males who enjoy their masculinity but like to wear clothes that are made for females. So can you really say it's offensive? Like Wonder Woe Bear. I don't think I know who that is.
Oh, I love Wonder Woe Bear.
I don't think I know who that is.
The thing, okay. I love him so much. My darling bear that he is. I don't want to mention his real name, but I love him to pieces.
I need to know who this person is.
Look up Bear Donna.
Bear Donna?
Bear Donna. Beardonna.
Oh, come on, Instagram. Stop.
He does it. He does it just because it's funny. He does it because it's an act. It's a performance.
Right, okay.
And I think that there's this sort of disconnect when it comes to the argument of drag queen cross-playing and gender bending versus the transgender community. Like, on the one hand, it's performance art. On the other hand, depending on how it's taken, it's offensive. So there really
this is
is
sketchy territory.
Yes,
because
it's dodgy territory because there's.
And because, like, am I going to say that I've never laughed at somebody that is doing it for the comedy, like a male dressed as a woman that's doing it for the comedy of it? I totally have. Like, I can think of instances where I have. So it is really, you're right, Kay. It's a very, I 110% know who this person is. Yes. I love him. And they've gone to New York before, right?
Ariel.
Well, as Ariel.
Burial.
Yes, okay. I know
Burial
exactly
during the
BP
BP oil
spill.
spill.
I know exactly who that is.
Oh, he's such a...
I've seen them at New York Comic Con.
He's such a warm and wonderful person.
Yeah.
I love running into him. I consider him a good friend of mine. And what's going on in the...
Nothing. I just think that is a really interesting point, Kay. And I think that we're in like it is very weird territory. I mean, it's because when I think about it, I feel like it is one of those things that, like, when it is offensive, I feel like I'd feel it, you know? Like, I'd know, like, I'd look at it and be like, all right, whatever. But then I also can't think of that many instances where that's happened. Mm-hmm. But I'm also not transgender. So I can't... Yeah.
And I mean, even drag as an art form started as men making fun of women and just exaggerating the features, the long eyelashes, the arched eyebrows, the piled high hair.
Yeah.
That's what the modern drag, that's what we would consider drag today. That's what it started as. It started as being a sort of exaggeration of the female form.
Right.
Boy, we are just covering all sorts of topics. We are covering all topics today. What's happening?
Says, Will's here. Hello, Will.
Hi,
Will.
Will.
Comments every episode. I love it. Will says, there's a massive amount of overlap between comedy and things being offensive. It's important to remain mature, even if you catch yourself giggling.
Well, I mean, there's... no, and you're 100% correct. I have seen so many times, like, satire.
Yeah.
Satire to, I mean, when it comes to cosplay and you're doing something satirical, there's a very fine line that you best not cross.
Yeah.
For instance, do you remember Dragon Con 2 years ago? I think it was 1 or 2 years ago.
I've never been to Dragon Con, but would I...
The controversy was that two individuals cosplayed as the Twin Towers.
The Twin Towers. Oh, those fuckers. I literally remember my mom saw that on the news, and my mom was like, what
I don't know what was in those fool heads at the time.
Yeah.
And I do not want to shine a spotlight on them. No. But I do want to say that if your intent is to make a person laugh, that's not funny.
That's not funny. Yeah.
That's not funny at all. I'm a firm believer that satire can be used in a very creative way. For instance, when I do B-Pool.
Yeah.
B-Pool is a satirical character because it's B. Arthur in a Deadpool costume.
Yep.
Like...
There it is, yeah.
And it was funny. People actually came up to me and they were like, What gave you this idea? And I'm like, well, if you read the comics.
If you read the comics, then you'd know. Deadpool is just obsessed with B. Arthur. It's true. It's amazing. It's a great crossover.
But yeah, I think there is that sort of fine line between what is satirical, what is funny, and what is offensive. And that, yes, sometimes you will use the old adage, you just need to lighten up. Yeah. But I mean, it depends. If someone is if someone is truly offending you, then you have a choice. Yeah. You can either be angry about it, you can ignore it, you can go up to the person and confront them. Right. It really all depends on your own comfortability. And I think this is one of those, like, what would you do scenarios. Like, if you saw someone parading around as a certain character and they were doing it in a really, really, really offensive way, like, what would you do? Would you go up to them and say, hey, yo, cut the shit? Right. Or would you just... Yeah.
It's just so... I feel like I have just not had that many experiences like that at conventions. I think that example from Dragon Con is a brilliant one, because I literally remember when that happened. And I remember my mom mentioning it to me and, like, it making news, and it made the cosplay community look real bad.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's, again, go back to the ABCs of Catt and Kristen. Be respectful.
Be
kind.
Be
and if somebody, like, let's say that you were, okay, so let's say, Tom, again, situational. You're at a convention. You're in you're in B-Pool, or you're in one of your cross plays, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody comes up to you and they say, hey, I find that offensive. Like, what would your reaction be?
I would have a very long conversation with them.
You'd ask, I would ask why.
I would ask all of the questions.
Right.
I would say, why do you find this offensive? What about it can I change to make it not so offensive? And you start a dialogue, and that's how you make friends.
And even if you end up, I think, also at the end of that conversation, agreeing to disagree, I think it's worth having the conversation.
Because at that point, that's mutual respectability.
Yeah, it's mutual respectability. Yeah, it's saying, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. I want you to know where I'm coming from. And I feel like at the end of that, you can know that a person's intent at least was not bad, and maybe that you both parties leave that feeling better about people doing that sort of
exactly.
thing. Or you leave that situation, you're like, I think maybe I will change this next time and I will feel better about doing this thing. It's all about having conversations.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I know I talk too much, but this entire thing is shedding light on something that I had no idea was an issue under fire. And to be honest, as someone who really, really enjoys genderbending and loves drag for the art that it is, this is really upsetting. And again, we're coming as somebody that, like, you do crossplay and all that stuff.
I do crossplay and genderbending all the time.
Tons of our friends do genderbending. Tons of our friends are amazing at genderbending and amazing at... So I definitely don't want anybody leaving this saying that I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think, like anything, you can make it into a bad thing.
It's all about what it is it's all about enlightenment. Yeah. It's all about understanding the situation at hand.
Yeah.
Are you going to get chided for cross-playing or doing a gender bend? No. You may get some interesting looks. Yeah. I mean, far be it for me to say that I haven't received my fair of glances.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't walk around as a 6'4" Catwoman and not get some stares.
Yeah.
And sometimes I want those stares.
There you go. Exactly.
You know.
And then we prim.
And then we prim just ever so slightly.
That's it.
But I think honestly, you guys should just keep on doing what you're doing. Let no man, woman, or other put asunder. And just keep
different gender of. I don't understand any sort of reason why, like. Have we paused? No, I think it's just this. Yeah, we're
it's
fine.
Just that. Okay.
I don't see why, if I love Harry Potter and I really want to cosplay just Harry Potter in all of his glory tomorrow, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
And if I wanted to do a gender bend of, I don't know. If I wanted to do a gender bend of Lord Voldemort tomorrow, I also don't think that would be an issue. And if you think I haven't thought about that, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Yeah, because I wouldn't be coming from any sort of thing of like, oh, I'm going to make fun of this whole thing. And even if you were, there are ways to do it. Yeah, this is a real interesting conversation.
It's a very interesting conversation.
Because I don't want anybody leaving this thinking that we're saying don't crossplay, don't gender bend, because that's definitely not what we want.
What we want is for everyone to essentially get along.
Yeah, everybody, let's get along. Let's just try to be good to one another. Respect one another.
While we're gone, there is to be no hair pulling, no spitball throwing, and above all, no prayers. If I catch anyone praying, God help you.
Amazing. I love.
Oh my goodness. But I do want more people to understand that gender knowledge and the idea of being transgender. I want people to understand that it is something you're born with. If you feel that you are trapped in the wrong body, then you need to do whatever it is that you can to make yourself as comfortable in your skin as possible.
Yeah.
And
I can't, it's one of those things that I think about all the time, that I can't imagine what going through that must feel like, and how finding yourself in that way, what that must be like, because I have always just been cis. And so I just think in any way that we can help people feel more comfortable as themselves, that's a good thing, you know? And this community, I feel like so many aspects of cosplay probably do help people like grapple with their identity and grapple with like how they really feel and really help them feel safe in that way. That is one thing that I really do love about this community is like, for instance, one of the first times that I ever went somewhere where they like asked what my pronouns were was a convention that I went to, GeekyCon, that I've gone to a bunch of times, also run by the same people that do WikiCon.
That makes me so happy.
They literally hand out in your goodie bags name tags that you can write your name, and then underneath it asks for your pronoun.
That's beautiful.
And I think that's like a really amazing thing in the convention community, that we like just want people to feel comfortable, and we don't want anybody to feel, and like, I mean, there's a whole slew of obviously transgender things that we could talk about, but like just in general, like if you're someone who is transgender, being understanding of people still learning in a respectful way, and if you are, and if you are not transgender, also being willing to learn. And that's
one of the things that I always find interesting are those videos and those statuses where it's just like, all right, kids, you've always wanted to ask these questions to a transgender individual. You've always wanted to ask these questions to a black individual. Now's your time. And I'm like, it can go one of two ways. Because I know that's a little black and white, but there really is only one of two ways that can go, just depending on whether or not the conversation actually starts.
Right. It's, again, it's just everybody gets so up in arms with one another too. Like, this is another thing. If somebody's being an asshole at a convention, or you feel that they're offending you, I wouldn't recommend going up to them and being like, you're acting like an asshole. I would recommend going up to them and trying to calmly talk to them. And this translates into many different forms. But automatically running up to someone and assuming that they are ill-intentioned or like they're not willing
Don't
to
assume I'm an asshole!
Yeah, don't assume that. I think trying to have calm conversations with people on social media, it can be very difficult.
Because the problem that I have with social media on the whole is that you are only able to type and you read it in your own mind.
Completely, yeah.
Yep. And you infer a lot, and you assume a lot as well.
Completely. Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in the conversation section.
Oh my gosh. Hello everyone. Do what you're gonna do, but always be open to dialogue. Think before you act and listen and understand, not to respond.
Yep.
That's perfect. That's wonderful. Kay says, I love you, darling. Stay fabulous. You stay fabulous. And Day says, it's because of cosplay that I now understand about different genders and different pronouns. Yep. And that is like the best thing. That's
honestly one of the best things I've heard.
And that's like, and that's always another thing that like, I really do love of, and I'm not, this is like, I just come from like, I'm female, that's the only baggage I have. Like I'm not a member of the LGBT community, but I'm an ally for sure. And the one thing that I always have really loved about the cosplay community is that like, on a whole, the cosplay community, like if we're going to generalize, cosplay community is extremely accepting, welcoming, and loving to the LGBTQIA plus community. Mm-hmm. And that's a thing I'm really, really proud of us for, because there are so many areas where I imagine people feeling unsafe, and I've been with my friends and they feel unsafe, and they just like, you have to tread on water and wonder who's around you. And
I love the expression of walking on eggshells.
Yeah, and it's just, and I really love that in the cosplay community, like, and if that happens to you, I feel like, I hope, fingers crossed, that people around would 100% stand up for you and be like, no, that's not what we stand for.
Well, one of the things that me and Brooklyn Link actually spoke about this morning was, because I had messaged him and I said I apologize that you had to go through that.
Yeah.
And I basically said it's like sometimes it's up to the quote senior operators to educate the children and help them find their roar, basically.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because a lot of people are just going to continue to walk over you if you don't say, stop, please. I'm asking nicely.
Exactly. Yeah, stop, please. This is making me feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I would appreciate if you didn't.
Also, to those wondering if you're hearing like a little bird tweet in the background, that's just Kristen's
Oh, sorry. I didn't even realize. Yeah, it does that sometimes. I'm so used to it that I just don't even
that you just ignore
anymore.
it.
Yeah, because I just like am constantly just... I'm Italian. Let's generalize. I'm Italian.
We just talk with our hands all the time. That's how we're going to start next week's episode, just by saying,
I mean, I can sign
and now,
at you.
now we're offending the ASL community.
I am fluent in American Sign Language. I love you, ASL community. Let's chat. That's also one of my favorite.
Thank you.
That's one of my favorite things when you see when the ASL community, when the deaf community is at conventions, and I see people walking around, and every once in a while you'll see like somebody like sign, and they'll be like, "Oh no, I know American Sign Language."
That's so wonderful.
I love
so
sign language so much. I could talk about sign language for forever. Lynn says, I just thought my dog was making weird noises. Oh, damn. So you can hear it. Sorry, y'all. Will says, wait, before you go, I have a question. I'm going to Ace Comic-Con in Long Island in a couple weeks, but this is the first time I'm not going with a friend. Any tips for going to a con solo?
Oh, honey.
That's a great question.
Honey.
I go to con solo all the time.
Same.
Yeah, constantly.
The best advice that I can give personally is just go with an open mind.
Yeah.
It really all depends on if you view yourself as an introvert or an extrovert. If you're like a social butterfly, talk to everybody.
Yeah, completely.
Just, if you love someone's cosplay or if you love someone's work, go up to them and say, I love what you've done.
Yeah.
One of the things that I enjoy doing is if I go to a convention, I want to try and get to the artist alley just so that I can go up to different artists if I've seen their work online or if I've read their comics. I just want to go up to them and say, I love what you're doing. Please continue to do it. Your work is phenomenal. And I mean, if I have some extra cash on me, I will ask them to sign something for me.
Right.
That's something that you can do with artists. I know that a lot of people are shelling out huge amounts of money for the Justice League cast. Seeing Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill. I mean, I would pay a pretty penny just to stare at Henry Cavill and just see those pearly whites and that beard. And oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, he's a beautiful man. He's a beautiful man.
Oh, he's very attractive.
Yes, he is.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Jason Momoa is hot, and I mean, but that's his shtick. He knows he's hot.
I just want to see Gal Gadot in person. I just want to be like, you are an Amazon. You're correct. My Amazon queen. That's it. Love her.
The other thing that I suggest is try and see if you can find people that you're familiar with.
Yeah. If you
think that you're the only person going to a convention and you don't know somebody, guess what? You will run into people that you haven't seen since high school.
Yeah. And also the other cool thing is that if you see somebody that you just borderline recognize and you can think of I sort of remember them in this cosplay, and you go up to them and you're like, hey, were you at blah, blah, blah? I think I saw you in this cosplay and it was great. And then you start a conversation and then you guys are going to see each other at future cons. I love going to cons alone because I'm then I can go around the dealer's room and Artist Alley alone and you kind of just are...
And you're not tethered.
You're not tethered. Yeah, no, really.
Unfortunately, I have a nasty habit where if I am in a group of people, I will just...
Irish goodbye?
Not even Irish goodbye, just be like, all right, you can't keep up with me, tough.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that is I really enjoy going to cons by myself, and I always find people that I know or make new friends there, and even just talking to people.
That is honestly one of the hardest things in this community is that the more people you know, we know so many people.
We do, yeah.
You just get to know so many individuals, and you're again, and I've said this multiple times, you're pulled in every direction imaginable.
Yeah.
So it's just usually better to go up to the people you know, ask them how they've been, tell them that you love their work, tell them that you'd love to see them again, tell them that you want to talk more. Just again, start the dialogue. And then as soon as you're done, go off and do something else.
Do you have you don't even have to ask somebody for their personal Facebook. You can be like, do you have a cosplay Facebook page? I'm this. I'm gonna like your page.
Well, I mean that goes for any type of situation.
Yeah, exactly. You just be
because if someone comes up to me and be like, oh well, I'm friends with you on Facebook, I'll be like, how sway?
How
that happened though?
Tell me though. I love Lynn says feels. I generally just wander when I'm with a group. And I'm just very independent. I like being able to I like to go my own way, call it another lonely day. That's it.
And that's honestly all there is to it when it comes to traipsing along on your own.
Yeah, indeed.
If you're more on the shy and reserved spectrum of things, then just just be shy and reserved.
Yeah.
But if you're going in cosplay, expect to be asked questions and to like people to not so much run up on you, but to just to say that they enjoy your work or that they're happy to see you here.
And that's another really great thing about cosplay too, is like, and we've talked about the opposite of this. Last week we did a whole episode on making cosplay friends.
Yes.
So if you're interested in that, go and check that out. But the other interesting thing that we didn't talk about is the fact that if you're in a cosplay too, people are going to come up to you as well, which is awesome, because that means if you are shyer or a little bit uncomfortable with starting the conversation, if you're interested in the conversation you're having with somebody, you just keep it going. Just you've had somebody else initiate, which is amazing, and you can keep that going very easily by just talking about the cosplay that you're in and talking about whatever that fandom it is a part of.
Yep.
Which is a really cool thing.
Speaking of running up on random people,
yes,
I think it is time to announce our cosplayer of the week.
Yes, and our cosplayer of the week is...
Everybody loves Tony Ray. And the first time oh my god, I cannot say enough good things about my darling Tony.
Yes.
He calls me mama.
Amazing.
He calls me mama.
I love.
I love, honestly, I love when people call me mama.
And it's
I really do.
We really, and this is not an on-camera thing. Like Tom has said to me before, he'll be like, "Oh, this person calls me mom. This person calls me ma. This person calls me mama." Like
it touches my heart.
You remember those things.
My personal favorite is on Mother's Day.
That's so true.
2 years ago on Mother's Day, I think only one person wished me Happy Mother's Day, and I'm just like, oh, I see you. I see you. I see you. I don't love you that much.
Oh my god.
But then next year everyone was just like, Happy Mother's Day, and I was just like, they know.
That's it.
Nightwing
Escalation web series, by the way, says Mama. Which, by the way, I'm a cast member of. So
she is a cast member.
If you want to go and check that out, go check it out. I'm Vicky Vale. What up?
But in regards to Tony Ray, he is a staple in this community.
Completely,
and,
definitely.
He is well liked. He is well respected. We love. I mean, I personally love and appreciate him. I love talking to him. He's a fabulous individual to talk about. Blurred culture, which is which is black nerd to those that aren't in the know. He's
amazing!
Very,
I would love
very
to have a
conversation. He's fabulous. He's absolutely fabulous. And
we should reach out to him and have a conversation with him. That would be amazing.
I really do. I have so much love and respect for him. He's a gifted cosplayer.
Yes.
He's very good with. He's
very much so.
Very good with armor builds. He's very good being a sewer. He's very good with fabrics.
Kind of an all around.
He really is a jack of all trades.
The triple threat sort of he really is. So good. So good.
I strongly advise you looking him up. I think on Facebook he is Everybody Loves Tony Ray, and I think on Instagram he is Caldur, which is Kaldur.
Yes, and as always, we will be posting.
Feature posts,
so all that information will be on there as well.
Yep.
Which will be awesome. And again, you can check that out on our Facebook page or on our Instagram. Which is Catt Kristen. And we would love if you check that out.
We would love if you check that
out. Yes, and go check him out.
Yes,
Truly.
please. He's done videos for PBS.
Oh my gosh. How incredible is that?
He's just a gift. He's such a warm individual. He's sassy as fuck though.
That is bias.
Do not come for him. Never come for Tony.
Whatever you do not come for him.
Do not come for Tony. He will cut you down to size with just words that he is the type of person that you will have a conversation with him, and if you throw shade, he will throw it right back to you, and you won't know it until minutes later.
You hit the floor before you know. Not because he's hit you, because you have fallen over from the sass. That's it.
But yeah, that's our featured cosplay of the week, and thank you again for tuning in.
You. This was a great conversation.
We will be back next week with what's happening.
What happened?
I don't know what happened.
Oh, I think mine just freaked out. I hope. Are we still viewing?
Oh, we're still there.
We're good. My laptop freaked out. But yeah, we will be back next week, probably next Tuesday.
Possibly next Tuesday, depending on how things are going with both of our lives.
With both of our lives. I'm very thankful that we have gotten to do this every week since we started.
We have not skipped a week. We haven't missed a show. It's been very, very wonderful.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will see you. We will see you next week.
Yes.
Ciao, meow for now, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hold on, I gotta get to this mouse.
You gotta get to
It's
that.
All right, we're leaving now. Goodbye.